Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. My name is Julie Tara, and today I am very thrilled to have a wonderful friend of mine, Igor Gruendl, with me. Igor and I have known each other for many years. We started in Nikken at the same time in 1995, and he is just a joy to be with, a true visionary man. So I'm thrilled, and you're going to really enjoy this podcast today. So Igor, thank you so much for joining me, taking out time of your day. I know you're super busy, so I really appreciate you giving us this time of yours.
My pleasure, Julie. It's good to be with you again.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been talking quite a bit lately. We've been working together on some projects, and it's been so nice to have this strong connection with you. And one of the things I have always loved about you, Igor, is that we have the same passion for natural health and wellness. We both come from a background in that, you with shiatsu and with massage, and also I think physical therapy.
That's correct.
Yeah, and me with energy medicine. So let's just start right there, because I think it's so beautiful that people that have our love and passion for that can do so well in Nikken. Tell me how that all came about.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you ask, because it was I would say a moment that got me questioning what a doctor did. And I must have been 17 or so. I've always was interested in the natural healing arts, just because I've always liked being in nature. My grandparents taught me, what kind of, leaves you can make teas of, and what herbs you can use, and what mushrooms are edible, and all that. So I was always into that. But there was one day I had there was a problem, and they took my tonsils out, and I had complications. And then I ran into a medical doctor that had this funny looking ear chart on the wall. And he says, everything is connected from your ear. He was a medical doctor, but it still was kind of odd. But he gave me, he said, just put this on your earlobe and it will help you. And it did. And from that moment on, I was hooked. I said, there is more, to this whole natural healing arts that I even knew about. And that's how my journey began. I became a vegetarian. I dabbled in a few things. And then later I said, this is what I want to do, because I originally was working in the fashion business and the family business. And then when I immigrated to the United States, I decided, if I have a choice to change my life, I'm going to change it. And I'm going to do what I've always wanted to do. And that's how I got into the natural healing arts, shiatsu massage, regular massage. And then, of course, from then I ventured on to physical therapy and then suspension table therapy, which I specialized in.
Wow. So now this is really interesting to hear this about your tonsils. You were probably a teenager.
I was 17 at the time. Yeah.
You were 17. Yeah. This is really wild, because I remember in Dutch National Ballet when I was 19, I'd hurt my back and I went to the massage therapist, and he had charts, acupuncture charts on the wall with all the meridians, and he would work a lot on my feet. And I would say, no, it's not. The pain is not in my feet. The pain is in my back. Yeah. And he would say, Julie, it's all connected. And then there was a woman there who was vegetarian. So I started becoming a vegetarian at that time. And I was like, how do you have enough energy to dance all day and night, which is what we were doing, when you don't eat any meat and everything? So learned about that, and then macrobiotics and so forth. So we had it's kind of an awakening, isn't it? When you realize there's so much more to this than what we thought.
Absolutely. And that, of course, I think was also which made me very susceptible to when I was approached with Nikken, because it just fit hand in glove. I mean, it was something that I just at first was just a feeling that it was right. And I don't know, sometimes you have these stages in your life where you just, you're almost going through an invisible door, and then you look around and you're like, oh, this really feels familiar. I don't know what it is. I can't put my logical mind would like to take me into a completely different direction and maybe even question it, but something, I don't know, something's right here. I have to stay.
Wow, I love that. Going through the invisible door. That's so exactly how it is. And it's so lovely that you were so open to it. Because I'll be honest, I wasn't as open to it initially with Nikken, because I was like, if this was so great, we'd all know about it, things magnetic fields, especially far infrared technology. Why don't we all know about it? So even though I was into natural health fully, 100%, I was still a little like, a bit of a snob, I think. I think I was snobby. I was like, no, I know a lot about this area of energy medicine and, so forth. So
yeah, but I can agree with you. I mean, I was probably I would be most distributors' worst nightmare of a prospect. I was not open. I was not open to the business portion part. Yeah. I mean, even the I mean, I was somewhat open to the product technology part, but definitely not the business part. I question it. I remember that first meeting I was in. I was 3 hours there, and I had one question after the other. I felt sorry for the people because I was not a nice person.
Well, it's probably good for people to hear, because sometimes we have prospects that are challenging. It's so interesting though about the money, because I knew people in network marketing that were making a lot of money actually in other businesses, and I never thought I'd be passionate about the products for a long period of time, that I'd be able to promote something over and over again. I thought, no, I'd get tired of that, talking about your intestines forever or whatever. It's just not me, But then once I had the experience of the Nikken products on my body with my back, actually, it is like, then it clicked. And the thing that fueled me was I wanted to help so many more people with natural health. And I knew that one-on-one with people was very limited. I always felt that, like, I loved my work, but it was very like one-to-one. And I was like, how many people can I help in our world one-to-one over a lifetime? That's kind of how I was thinking. Yeah. So that's when it kind of came together, like, oh, I could actually help hundreds or thousands or many thousands of people with Nikken because of the business structure. So that got me really excited.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're bringing it up. Once I understood the business model and its possibilities, because I was caught in both worlds. I'm coming from a family retail business, and I was out on my own as an independent sales rep, and then later as a distribution manager for a designer company. So I've been venturing out, and that was plainly in the fashion industry. But I realized that an entrepreneurial venture or business of my own is actually the only way to expand myself. And as you just alluded to, I mean, we were limited when it was in our client one-to-one interactions. And it was the same thing. My hands, I mean, I was a good therapist, but my hands could only reach, one person at a time. And when I saw Nikken and saw what it did, I mean, all of a sudden, my wife, who had a horseback accident, where the horse fell on her pelvis and crushed it 3 times, falling down a ravine. The ligaments were completely overstretched. So she was like a maintenance case in our practice. She came 1 to 3 times a week just to keep it adjusted and maintain her so she doesn't have to need an operation. All of a sudden, here come these products. I have no clue what they do. I said, we're going to sleep on them. You're going to put them on yourself. And all of a sudden, something happened. Now, like you, I was questioning it. So what did the good therapist in me do? Well, that was my guinea pig. And I said, okay, let's take all these products away. And all of a sudden, she became unstable again. Put them on, stable. Took them away, unstable. Put them on, stable. I was like, wow. And then I went to the orthopedic surgeon that I was working with. I said, Dr. Weber, could you answer a question? Is there any adverse reaction to people, like an overexposure to magnetism? Have you ever heard of somebody that was admitted to a hospital because of overexposure to magnetism? Because like you, I mean, I've never heard of it. We studied in this area, but nobody talked about it. And he said, no, that's all in your head. And I said, that's interesting. My wife didn't want this to work. She didn't want me to do anything like this. What would that do to my reputation? My goodness. So she was actively working against me, and it worked. I said, that was brilliant. After that, I couldn't stop talking about the products anymore.
That is a great story. I had no idea that Carol had that accident. God, that's really shocking. But it's very interesting that she was adamantly against it and it worked anyway, because I also was adamantly against it. I was like, you're a silly little Magnus, I can do anything for this back injury that I've had for 20 years. And yet it worked in minutes. And I was like, wait a second. Like, when you get that aha and you're like, I don't want this to work and it's working. This is not a placebo effect. It's really powerful. And then one becomes sort of on fire to share it. And I want to say, like, I always say, if somebody's not sharing it, it's like, okay, take all the products away, don't be on any of them for at least 2 weeks, so that you actually remember how powerful they are and what they're doing, and then put them back, and then you decide if that isn't worth sharing or not with others. Because
absolutely.
I think it's an ethical responsibility to share things that work, that are safe, non-invasive, non-harmful, and really effective. And this harmony with nature, it's, once you kind of get it, you're like, that's so obvious. What doesn't work in integration with nature? But yet humanity has separated itself from nature so badly that we have all these chronic issues. And all we have to do is come back into connection.
And that's such a simple concept, and especially now, needed more than ever. I mean, that's one of the things. If you look at us, why are we still doing this after 27 years? It's like, well, I can't get enough. I can't get enough of talking with people, getting up every day, sharing this. Why? Because I know, number one, I mean, doing for 27 years, there's a whole new generation that has never heard of us. And everybody that has been, using the product, they know they work. They know that they do what they're designed to do, to bring us in balance and let the body do what it's designed to do itself better. And that is getting itself into balance. And what a beauty. I mean, we only have to sit, sleep, walk, wear, drink, take something in that the body needs, that puts nature that we've distanced ourselves from back into the sphere that our body needs to be in, the energy sphere. And I just love that, because we don't have to change our routine. Well, that's great. We're exposed to more electromagnetic equipment and cell phones and internet and all kinds of things that are really unnatural when it comes to how our body works. And when our body likes to be, when we're in nature, well, that's when the body comes down. So I love that the Japanese had realized this almost 50 years ago, or it goes thousands of years back, but 50 years ago, when the founder of Nikken, Mr. Masuda, found this and had an aha moment and realized that he had to share this. And that's how I feel today. I mean, we have a gift to share with people, which will last way into the future. And that is such a beautiful thing. And it's not about, where was I 27 years ago and what have I done? No, it's where am I today? And do I believe that the future will be better than my present? And I do believe that, because we have an opportunity, we have a mission, and there is a vision to even reach more people. And to come back, what I just mentioned is, most people haven't even heard of us. We might have talked to 1 or 2 generations ago. The new generation has never heard of us. And interestingly, when I do any of the strength test or just show people, they're still floored like they were 27 years ago.
I mean, our market penetration is probably 0.5%. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So let's look at that. Let's go there. Let's not talk about, the health and wellness industry. It is booming, and especially after the last 2 years, we couldn't have a better opportunity, I think, because of everything that happened. People are now really looking and questing for how to take care of these things, right? Let's talk about that.
Well, if we look at it, how big is the wellness industry, or what we call the wellness industry? And I'll just give you some statistics. I mean, from 2020, it's a worldwide, it's a 4.37 trillion market. It's 4.37 trillion. Not
I don't think
only
I even
that,
understand that number. I mean, what is this? Gosh.
that is huge. Absolutely huge. Now, the other thing that I think is very interesting is that the global wellness industry is expected to grow at 5.5% per year until the year 2030. So, I mean, for somebody who's looking at venturing into this industry or looking at Nikken, this is an ideal time to actually start, because more than ever are the things that we are offering, the solutions that we are offering, needed by people. I mean, people want to sleep better. People want to be healthier. Now, there are, of course, industries, because wellness is slapped on everything today. I mean, we will soon find, the wellness car. I mean, but wellness is on everything. But is it really wellness? Is it really something that has to do with health and wellness? Oftentimes it doesn't, because it's a overused word. But on the other hand, I mean, there are, for example, when we look at different sections of the market, there's the retail health and wellness products that are there. There are there's global health, eating, nutrition, and weight loss sector, which is almost $1 trillion. Global physical activity, $738 billion. The global wellness tourism sector, $436 billion. Traditional complementary medicine is 413. So you can see even the wellness sector is divided in other areas, but it doesn't matter. It still is huge, which means, number one, there's a demand. People are looking. People are looking for natural solutions. Number two, people don't want to change their routines. They want to integrate it into their lives. They want it made easy. And I think Nikken has the perfect solution for that. Number one, because they well ahead of the time understood that it is an all-encompassing system that we need to expose ourselves to. That means if we have natural elements, well, we have to bring all the natural elements in, because they are all working in synergy with each other. So I think it's been used before. It's the perfect storm. I mean, we have more stress than ever before. And people want to have more control over their life. So people don't want somebody from the outside to tell them what to do. They want more control of their own life, and they want better well-being and health for themselves and their families.
So, and what I love is that it's sort of a surround sound with the wellness home. It's like really understanding the idea of epigenetics. And that it is the environment that we're in that causes that connection then with every cell in our body. I have to say, this last week I've been studying a 10-day series with a guy, and it was on depression and anxiety, because it's so prevalent in our world. And I was like, I want to understand more about this. And so I learned a lot about like supplementation and about the brain gut connection, which, not that I didn't know about it, but I learned more about neurotransmitters and so forth. It was really interesting. But I tell you, in the whole of the 10 days, and each video was at least a couple hours long, nobody ever mentioned water. Sleep cursorily, but not like sleep technology, like biohacking with sleep. I think air was mentioned one time. So the whole focus was on ultimately nutritionals, and I thought, I like blue ocean theory. I like having something where nobody else is going. And that's what is so intrigued me about Nikken forever. 27 years, and I'm as passionate today as I ever was, because it's the blue ocean aspect. And in network marketing, where there's lots of nutritional companies, there is nobody that is covering the ground we're covering with grounding, or magnetics, far infrared, negative ions, all of this. And it really thrills me, because that blue ocean theory, you want to be in an area that nobody else is in, and then bring that forward to the people, because when they catch it, they'll be on fire just like we are.
Right. And I think that's a really good aspect when you look into the future and the potential of the future, because that is, I think, enormous. I mean, if somebody can understand, and I think, everybody should take their time to look and explore and, kick the tires and get all your questions answered, because that is important. If you are 100% informed, I think you would probably do the same thing that we did. You took not only a serious look, you just used the products to find out, well, if it is that good, then, there's nothing better to do than to try it, to do it. And for every one of us that has been using all the products, living in a wellness home, I know the effects of it. You were just touching on, of course, a rise in anxiety and depression. One of our sons, well, both our sons are on the autistic spectrum, more, I would say, on the mainstream autistic spectrum, because they're ADHD and OCD. And it's interesting, we worked with the doctors, and I was asking, they said, well, you should use a specific dosage of a medication. And then I asked them, well, this is what we're doing. He's sleeping on a magnetic bed, he's drinking good water, we're really taking care of it. How could you gauge what dosage he would need if his body's working okay? I think he was kind of surprised that I was asking that. And he said, okay, we'll do a trial. And would you believe it? He's at the end, when we were kind of done, he says, you know what, you're right. He only needed 1/10 of the recommended dosage to get the effects that they wanted to see. So there's really there are so many good things in just being exposed to what we have, because the body works much better. And of course, today, my son is 23, and he is off of most of his medication today. I think he has one medication he's still on. And I think it's a blessing for us to understand that he has a better life because of that.
That's a really powerful story, and it's interesting, because I know that that's true, given my own family history, that the more you take care of the diet, the exercise, Nikken wellness home, and all those other things, that if somebody needs extra support, it's just a tiny fraction of what so many others are on. And so, yeah, I think we have a huge, market right there of people who are looking, especially after the last 2 years, people got scared, by what was happening. And so I think, when you can help someone to just feel happier, calmer, more centered, more focused, sleep better and everything, it's such an incredible gift. Now, you've given this gift many times over this last 27 years, and just for our audience to know, because some of them don't know you as well as I do, tell us a little bit about that, the journey. Like, how many people do you think you've impacted? What kind of result have you had with your business?
Well, I think I had to calculate that also. I was looking back at once, and I said, well, I wonder how many people did actually, I've been in touch with through Nikken, by talking to a couple of people that talked to a couple of people that talked to a couple of people. And the numbers that I came up were staggering. I came up with a figure about 350,000 distributors in 27 countries had signed up over the last 27 years. And that resulted in over 1 million customers and over $1 billion in sales. Wow. So now, that was something I wanted to. I wanted to make a worldwide impact after I understood that this is, you don't know who somebody is going to talk to. I live in Sarasota, Florida, so there's a lot of people from all over the world. So I know that I've impacted people from other parts of the world that came to Florida just by talking to them. And then when they talk to people, all of a sudden there was a connection. And my main business was built in the German-speaking market in Europe. But from then it went all over because people knew people in other areas. But that is the main area that I focus on and spend a lot of time. I mean, we were also able to travel all over the world with our sons. I mean, they've seen places that, they've seen so many places that I remember once one year we came back and says, "Oh, where do you want to go on vacation this year?" They said, "Mommy, Daddy, can we please just stay home?" But just to have the opportunity, to do certain things that normally, would be a once in a lifetime chance. But the travels that we were able to do, if it was to Japan, or when markets were opening like in South Korea or in Peru or in other European countries, it was just wonderful. This is the interesting thing. People everywhere in the world want exactly the same thing. They want to sleep well. They want quality water. They want that their families do well, that they stay healthy, that they're not getting sick. And they want to have the ability to actually have some financial freedom so they can do things and not have to wait until the golden years come just to find out that the golden years aren't so golden, but to do it now. I had the ability to be at my son's soccer practice, see most of his games when I was here, go to performances of my other son, participate at school, go with the kids on trips to DC and wherever they were singing. I mean, I cherish that because I know they will never come back. How many people aren't able to do that? My father wasn't there. And that's one of the things when I started Nikken that I vowed, I want to see my children grow up and I want to be there. And Nikken gave me that opportunity, and Nikken made it possible that I had that time. How many people in the future want that? Want that better life, more time for their family, more times to create the memories that last a lifetime.
Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that.
Exactly.
More time, freedom, more autonomy, a healthier financial sovereignty so that they can really not be worried and stressed about that all the time. I think everyone wants that. And I can say, same for me, that I was there at every baseball game, every basketball game, every singing concert, everything my kids were doing, I was able to be there, and most parents weren't. And my dad wasn't there, when I was a kid. So I knew what that was like, to not have your parent supporting you in your endeavors, So I think it's hugely important for their psychological well-being to go like, dad's there, mom's there, they care, And I think every parent would want that. And so I think that's where the business itself is so powerful that it can give people, if they work at it, their dream life, their life that they would really choose, that they may not have thought was possible prior.
Well, think about it. What are you going to do in the next 3 to 5 years that's going to make your future better? Are you going to be able in 3 to 5 years to experience life differently? Experience financial independence differently? Or will you just have reached a milestone on your way to retirement? Or have you created a business, a purpose-driven business? Because I think once you are purpose driven, and you get up every day and you know that you're doing good, real good. It's something that will not stop. It will not stop you. You will continue that. And that's one thing I love about this business. Like, for example, the word retirement doesn't exist.
So uninteresting.
Retire from what? Sharing what you love doing, sharing what has given you a life that most people only dream about. Nobody in school told me that. Nobody in real life or business told me about that. I remember I studied economics, and I asked one of my teachers, I said, and I did not know that at a time, about residual income. So I just asked, I said, how do you do something like what the Beatles did? You get a #1 hit. How do you do that? I knew that, if you do that, well, there's always money coming in. And it's ongoing, and you're in somewhat of a creative process. And then my teacher was asking, what do you mean with that? Well, you write a book, and people continue reading it, and they buy it maybe years down. Well, how do you do that? I don't know. All didn't know. So I of course went into the same thing. Well, this is how life is. You go, you find a job, and then one day when I realized, oh my goodness, this was it. This is it. What would you do with that knowledge? What would you really do with that knowledge? If what you're hearing here is true, what would you do with it? Would you not just try it? Because what are you going to do in the next 3 to 5 years?
That's right. You just get after it. I think that's the entrepreneurial mindset. Once people get that click, it's just like the click with the products, then you get the click with the business, and then you're like, boom, I'm like a rocket now.
And everybody wants to improve their confidence and their capabilities, because that's all what our life is about. You find what you really love doing, because when you get up, it's what you want to do, and you want to get better at it. And the fourth component is, are you going to get paid for it? And what if you can find something that falls together? The love of actually helping people, the love of helping people naturally, sharing that, getting better at that, and on top of that, getting paid for that.
It's exciting.
Nobody ever told me that would be possible.
I woke up this morning and I knew we were going to do this podcast, and I was like so excited. I was like, I just can't wait to do this with you. Because it's all of that, what you just said. It's like, I think all of us love helping people. I think it's probably why we're here on the planet, is first, to grow, to learn, but to help people. And so when we're helping with Nikken, it's like so satisfying, because we see the results with people. And the fact we can help them with their business as well, to move forward in life, to really expand their life. Your expansion is amazing. The fact you could take your children all around the world. I mean, it's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's very humbling, isn't it? Like I've found it very humbling.
Well, I'm eternally grateful for the person that introduced me to this, who actually quit 14 days later and never did anything with it. But I'm eternally grateful for that person, that they introduced me. And the other thing is, it comes back on you. What is your life going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? You saw what happened the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, you can either continue that, and it might just be okay. But if not, if something is like, well, there's more to life, like there was for us, if there's more to life, well, there's one thing. There is more to life, because the future will be better. Number one, our industry will continue to grow. We know that. That's a fact. It will continue to grow. We are ideally positioned, because the awareness for wellness is huge. So people are looking. We just need a lot of people that actually get that good message of Nikken out there, so people can actually have a chance to talk, because to see it and to feel it. Because We don't advertise anywhere else. We are the advertisement. We are the marketing. We are the business. And that's why I like to always say that the business is actually the best product, because the business can actually give you the freedom that you want. You know, the freedom to live the life you want, the freedom to make the income you want without having to hit any glass ceiling, the freedom to be with the people you want to be with, and the freedom to actually have a life that is free of discomfort, that is free of financial burdens. Does it take time? Yes. Is it hard work? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely.
Wow. Such a great message. Thank you, Igor, so much for this time together. I feel really moved, you know. I feel like you talked a lot about freedom, and I'm thinking of birds and how they fly and just like they're free, and just that, you know, we get to help humanity to have that in so many ways. So this has just been a total joy. I knew it would be. I know we could talk forever, but I think our time is complete at this moment. But thank you very, very much. And thank you for all the goodness you've brought to the world in these 27 years and prior to that. And thank you for continuing on the mission and being a messenger, because I think ultimately we're messengers, and some people will get it and some people won't, and that's okay, because all we're doing is bringing a message and seeing who gets it. And you've done a phenomenal job with that, Igor. The world is a better place because of you. Really.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Yeah.
And because of you, and it's always a pleasure to be with you.
You too. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. I hope you really loved this podcast. I know I have. And really give this some thought. There's a powerful future for all of us. Take it, understand it, and run. Take it all the way. So you can find this podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Please enjoy, and please comment and share. We love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.